Welcome to Lesson 2 on Learning Aim B Cybersecurity. Today we're going to look at internal threats and what could cause a breach to our data. We have two main objectives for the lesson today. The first one is we're going to look at a key term called internal threats, and we're going to understand what the internal threats could be within an organisation to our systems and our data security. The second objective we will look at today is the understanding of what would be the impact of a security breach taking place. We have a lot to get on with, so let's make a start. Hopefully, you came up with some of the internal threats shown in the diagram below. Let's go through the 6 threats now. The first one is unintentional disclosure of data. The second one is using portable storage devices, so USBs. The third one is downloads from the internet. Our fourth threat could be visiting untrustworthy websites, and our last 2 threats to our system could be intentional stealing or leaking of information, or overriding the security controls to allow people unauthorized access. We're going to take a look at these in more detail on the next few slides. The first internal threat that we're going to look at now is the unintentional disclosure of data. This could be where data is lost or data is given to somebody who shouldn't have access by accident. You may get data stored on paper, and this paper could be left in your car or on your train journey. And by forgetting to take the data off the train, someone else can pick it up and view it. If the data has not been encrypted, then people can see the plain text and read it and make sense. This could cause problems for the business or organisation down the line. People may get unauthorised access to your building and steal information. This could happen by a number of ways. If you don't have the correct file access privilege, then users who should not be able to view certain files will be able to view the files, and this information then can be compromised. When you are deleting or destroying data that is no longer needed, you need to consider how you do this. If you just place it in the bin, somebody could walk past and take it out of the bin and then use the data. When this type of attack occurs, it is known as dumpster diving. To remove this problem, when you are removing data from your business, you could shred it, you could burn it, or you could put it into confidential waste bins to ensure that people cannot get access to this easily. Another way to protect the data and systems in your organisation is to have high levels of security controls. Taking a look at the picture in this scene, what security controls are in place for the company, and what could be added to increase the levels of security to make people without access harder to gain entry into the place. Hopefully you spotted some of the obvious security controls in the picture, ranging from CCTV cameras to monitor and detect any motion, ID cards required to gain entry into certain lifts, or physical gates to prevent access to unauthorized users. You may have security offers on the reception team who are looking out for people who should not be in the building and asking them to leave. When we are talking about security controls, there are 4 different categories we can use. The first one is physical. Physical stops the person from being able to gain entry physically, such as having fences, gates, locks, to stop people being able to get into places they should not be able to access. The next security control is technical. This is software based. Having things like firewalls or username password settings or antivirus software stops people being able to get onto the systems and accessing those. We then have procedural security controls, and this is where we report things in a certain procedure, such as filling in a certain form if something was to happen in an incident. We then have legal security controls, which are the laws. If people break these laws, they can be criminally charged. From the question at the end of the last slide, we now have a couple more examples of each of the 4 security controls. Another internal threat that can happen when people are inside the building is by using portable storage devices. By using the storage device, people could plug their USB into the computer and steal large amounts of data very quickly. This can be prevented by many different techniques. The one that we use at school is we disable all the USB ports on the computers. This means if anybody plugs a USB into the computer system, no data can be transferred across, and therefore the data is now secure. You could also have a check log. identifying who's logged in at what time onto what computer, and monitor what they access and what they do with those files, or what they download or what they delete. This again keeps your data secure. The last strategy could be offering training and making sure that users are aware of the risks when using USBs to make sure that they are checked for no viruses or malware on them when they insert them into the system, which could harm the data. The fourth internal threat is using untrustworthy websites and downloading from these sites. When you visit a website that is untrustworthy, you could download some malware that could harm your systems and your data. What are 3 points that show that a website is trustworthy? Have a think. We have now covered the internal threats to a system and data. So we've looked at what could possibly happen inside the organisation which would cause harm. We're now going to look at the second objectives for our lesson, where we have analysed the impact of a security breach. So what could happen if our system or data was attacked by the internal threat? Again, there are 6 points for us to look at. It starts with data loss. We could have a reduction in our productivity. We could have a data breach, which could take some downtime. We may face legal action as a company. We could lose money, so therefore have a financial loss. And we could also lose our public image, which means that customers think less of us than they did before. Let's take a look at the first consequence of having a data breach then. So the first one is financial loss. How could a cyber attack cause a financial loss for the users or the companies? Have a think and we'll go through the answers shortly. There is many ways that we can suffer a financial loss from a cyber attack. Customers and organisations may just have money stolen from their accounts. For example, in a bank system, a cyber attack may get information that means that money can then be transferred away from that account and the customer's now lost their money. There is also an indirect financial loss. If a cyber attack installs malware which damages files, this will now take time to fix, which takes money to pay people to fix it in. There are many examples of cyber attacks that have caused a massive financial loss in recent years. 2 given to you in this example are I Love You and My Doom. Both cause massive loss for people across the world. The second consequence of a data breach is the damage it causes to public image. This is when personal data is stolen or a company's systems fail when they are attacked, and therefore people can lose trust in their company. An example may be if Amazon was attacked and lost all the customers' details. This would mean that their customers would then not want to use Amazon in the future and may shop with other companies. This can lead to a big reduction in profit for Amazon in the future and make it hard for them to survive. If any company was to be attacked and the hacker was successful, you may then decide to not use that company again. Think of Sony and the PlayStation attacks. There was a group of people that managed to get into the Sony system and get customers' account details, which then meant that a lot of gamers went from Sony, the PlayStation console, to Microsoft and bought the Xbox console. This had a massive image and also financial issue for Sony then in the future. Another problem having a data breach is data can be lost. This could be a massive cost to a business. The type of data that could be lost could be their name, their address, their bank details, their email address, or their phone numbers. All these pieces of data can cause problems for customers in the future, such as identity theft or fraud where money is taken from their account. When we say data loss, this may be an accident. A customer may have all their data deleted by an employee inside the building by accident. To resolve this problem, we use backups. And if we have a backup, we can then reinstall the data that is lost. Here are the answers to the previous slide's questions. Again, it's worth noting that natural disasters could occur which could also cause data loss, such as a fire or a flood or a power surge. If any of these were to occur, your systems may be attacked and therefore data lost, which can cause you a problem for your company going forward. If we were to have a data breach where someone was to attack our systems, We then may face a reduction in how productivity levels are and downtime of servers. We might need to delete any malware that was installed or repair any damage. We may need to install the backups onto our system to get data back that we have lost. We may then need to investigate what happened, when it happened, and who by, and fix any problems that we have in our security levels so the incident does not occur in the future. All this time taken to fix the problems and to investigate means that customers can't use our systems anymore, and therefore we can't complete any normal transactions. This downtime can mean that companies can struggle to operate, and therefore if this takes days, weeks, or months, it can impact how a business survives or gets profit in the future. A fifth consequence of having a data breach is the company may face legal action. There are many different laws that we will look at in future videos, but these laws are in place to protect customers and organizations. If, for example, data was stolen, the company may then be prosecuted under the Data Protection Act by the customers, as they have lost the data that is important to them. If they are found guilty by a court, the company may then have to pay a large fine, which is more money that the company then lose and will make it hard for them to survive in the future.